Hey, here are 5 stupid things I've noticed about the end of the world. December 21st, 2012 isn't the start of it. It seems like as long as there have been people in the world, they've been predicting the imminent end of it. Over 600 years before the birth of Jesus of Nazareth, some Romans were convinced by a myth involving their city's legendary founder Romulus that their world was about to end. 1,000 years after the birth of Jesus, many Europeans, including the Pope, were convinced that the end of the world would come on January 1st, 1000, and scores of doomsdayers made similar predictions in the millennium that followed. The fact that every single end of the world prophet who came before has been wrong never seems to stop the next one from stepping forward and declaring that a given future date will see the second coming of Christ, or the destruction of Earth by some astronomical cataclysm, or some other apocalyptic event. And the 2012 crowd is no different. They're just as wrong and just as dumb. For instance, they overlook some minor details, like the Maya didn't predict the end of the world, and it wouldn't matter if they did. Most rational people who study the subject don't regard the end of the 13th Baktun of the Mayan long count calendar as significant of the end of the world, but rather as the end of a particular cycle, as reckoned by the Maya. But even if the ancient Maya were predicting the end of the world for the end of the 13th Baktun, why, aside from historical or anthropological curiosity, should anyone living today give a shit? Yes, the ancient Mayan civilization was very impressive in lots of ways, but the simple truth of it is, people living back then didn't know nearly as much as we do about what the fuck is really going on around here. And, like me, and you, and everyone else who has ever lived, the Maya did not have foreknowledge of the future. At least not in the prophetic sense. There are certain events that are regular and predictable, the motions of astronomical objects, for example. And some would-be prophets try to lend credence to their harebrained prognostications by framing them as predictions of significant celestial events. Celestial events such as galactic alignment. Sounds impressive, doesn't it? Galactic alignment. Supposedly, the sun's position at the 2012 winter solstice will place it in perfect alignment with the galactic equator of the Milky Way, an event which only takes place once every 26,000 years, an event which will trigger incredibly significant occurrences on Earth, such as, well, I don't really know. It's at this point that most 2012 prophets collapse into astrological gibberish, which doesn't fill me with a great deal of confidence in the reliability of their predictions. I don't know about you. There's also the fact that, as momentous as it sounds, galactic alignment is pretty much a made-up event. We're not even sure precisely where the galactic equator is, but according to our best observations, the sun already crossed it in 1998. Oh, and the ancient Maya don't seem to have known or cared anything about the Milky Way, or have had any concept or knowledge of our galaxy whatsoever. Time Wave Zero. In the 1970s, working with the ancient Chinese book of divination, the I Ching, Terence McKenna devised a mathematical equation to determine the amount of complexity in the universe. Using this equation, McKenna predicted that on December 21st, 2012, the universe would reach a point of infinite complexity when human evolution would undergo a major shift. Oh, and I forgot to tell you that originally McKenna predicted this infinite complexity event would take place in November 2012, and he only changed his date to December 21st, 2012 after he read about the ancient Mayan prophecies in the 1990s. And I should probably also tell you that McKenna was tripping on mushrooms when he came up with this. So, you make the call. December 21st, 2012 won't be the end of it. The winter solstice of 2012 is certainly not the first date predicted for the end of the world, and it won't be the last. In fact, we already know it won't be the last. Psychic, astrologer, and contemptible con artist Gene Dixon, for example, predicted that the end would come in the year 2020. A popular interpretation of the Talmud pegs 2024 as the year when the Messiah will come, and there's always going to be a comet or an astronomical convergence or a religious vision, something for credulous people to point to as they scream that the end is nigh. I suppose as long as there are people here, there will be people predicting the end of the world. Even if we somehow make it this far, which we won't, right up to the moment when the sun swells into a red giant and swallows the earth. The actual end of the world. The hardest part is only picking 5. Catch you next time.